Now, matchmaking is a theme of the day today, and so many of you have been using the app to navigate what's on and who's who. So do come on in if you're just joining us. Please have a seat. We've got a fantastic session coming right up. I've just asked ChatGPT who of our speakers this morning it thinks should meet each other. There you go. So suggestion number one, Pamela Whitten should meet Rebecca Huang. There you go. Rebecca could advise Indiana University on integrating creativity into interdisciplinary programs. Suggestion number two, Teddy Ortmans should meet Ashish Advani. Both care deeply about youth leadership and logistics at scale. They could co-develop a youth-led task force. I like it. So lots of suggestions. On a serious note, if you want to get connected, the app is the first place to go. Of course, face-to-face is always the best as well. So let's forge those new connections. One word that keeps coming up, whether I'm speaking with schools, with entrepreneurs, with investors, is the word resilience. It's a word that will mean different things to each of you. But what does it mean in practice? What does it take to build it? Well, that's the question that our next speaker has been thinking deeply about. They're in the business of supporting a whole range of organizations and institutions, building communities from the ground up. The organization they lead is Elliott Partners. Please welcome to our GE stage, Elliott Parker. Welcome, Elliott.
Hi everyone, I'm Elliott Parker. I'm the CEO of Elliott Partners based here in Indianapolis. It is wonderful to see all of you here. Welcome to Indiana. When I was asked to speak a while back at this conference, I thought, what is the one message I would want to share with a room full of ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, and investors? And I knew right away what that was. It's resilience. We need more resilient ecosystems. We create resilient ecosystems by building resilient companies. And companies become resilient by running experiments. Lots of them, fast, cheap, and weird experiments. I'll be talking today about why resilience matters more than ever and how to build companies that are resilient through experimentation. So first, why does resilience matter? The world is changing fast. We all know this, but it's actually changing much faster than we think. And it's hard for our brains to perceive the change in the midst of this. Many of you have seen this image before. Two pictures, same room, 8 years apart. People change completely the way that they interact with the world around them in that time. And now we knew that change was happening in the moment, but it felt gradual. And when we step back and look across time, we realize that change was dramatic. We are going through other changes just like this right now that are equally hard to perceive in the moment, but when we step back in the future, we will look back and realize we are in the midst of dramatic change right now. And it feels like in the moment that things are changing gradually and slowly and steadily, but what's really happening is that change is exponential. Our brains have a hard time perceiving exponential change, and as a result, we don't recognize it. But it's why resilience is so important right now. We are living in a lot of these exponential growth curves. This may be my favorite chart of all time. This is an exponential growth curve that we are living through right now. This is a chart showing global GDP over the history of time. Now, this is an impossible number to calculate with precision and accuracy, but directionally, I would argue that this is probably correct. And we're on the far right-hand side of that chart. You think about the world 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, the world today is so much wealthier than it used to be, and we are the beneficiaries of all those who came before us and made that possible. Now, you think about the underlying factors that created this curve. There's no reason to think that they're going away anytime soon. And now it's always dangerous to predict the future and extrapolate, but if you bear with me for a second, if that curve continues on its trajectory, imagine the world 50 to 100 years from now in which our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be living. It's hard to understand how different it's going to be, how much wealthier the world will be, how they will be the beneficiaries of what we are building today. Resilience matters a lot because the future is going to be much weirder than we can imagine, and it's coming a lot faster and a lot sooner than we think. This has happened all throughout history. If you go back through history, there have been many civilizations that have risen and then fallen. They all failed for the same reason. They failed because they did not innovate fast enough. They did not gather enough knowledge and wealth to be able to deal with the problems that arose. and problems stacked up until ultimately a problem came that was so big they lacked the knowledge and the wealth with which to deal with that problem, and the civilization failed. Well, our civilization is no different. The future is not predetermined. It's up to us to figure it out and to build it. And so our job to make sure our society, our ecosystems, and our companies and institutions are resilient is to make sure that we are gathering enough knowledge and wealth to be able to deal with any problem that may arise, especially those problems that we can't yet predict, because they're coming. Now, there are two possible strategies for dealing with problems, articulated in these two quotes from two very different CEOs. First quote is from Jack Welch, who was the CEO of General Electric. He said, "Variance is evil." What he meant by that was that his job, in his view, as CEO of General Electric, was to make sure there was no variance in the system, that everything was as predictable and safe as possible. They did that by avoiding problems, by ensuring that they could run that business as efficiently as possible and root out all errors from the system. Those types of systems do not learn. As long as the world stays static, those systems function really well. But if the world changes, they can't adapt. The second approach is embodied in this quote from Reed Hastings, who was the founder and CEO of Netflix. Took a very different approach. He said, inside of Netflix, we welcome and embrace a certain amount of chaos, because we know that chaos, as long as it is fertile, will help us learn and uncover new ways of thinking about how the world works. And that chaos, that fertility over the long run will always beat sterility. And those types of ecosystems, individuals learn, we uncover new ways of thinking about the world, and those organizations become more resilient over time. In the face of an unknown or uncertain future, the best strategy is to run as many experiments as you can at the lowest possible cost per experiment. Those experiments uncover knowledge, and that knowledge produces resilience over time. Let me give you an example of how this works in nature. Years ago, I had the opportunity, wonderful opportunity, to visit the Amazon jungle in Peru with my son, who is an aspiring entomologist. So we went to the Amazon jungle on purpose to look for insects. And I had the same reaction many of you probably just had to that sentence. I wondered before we went what we had signed up to do. It turned out to be an amazing experience. At night, we would take bed sheets and we would tie them between the trees, and we'd shine a light on those bed sheets. And within moments, within minutes, those sheets would be covered with insects of every possible variety you can imagine. Some with colors, some with camouflage, some designed to blend in, some designed to stick out, some with appendages, some without. That variety of life, that diversity of life in the Amazon ecosystem is what makes that ecosystem so resilient. And we can learn a lot about how the Amazon ecosystem innovates that we can apply to our ecosystems and to our businesses. Because what we do inside our companies and what we do inside our man-made ecosystems, in every case almost, is the exact opposite of what the Amazon jungle does. Now, in the Amazon, there is no objective to this evolutionary march. It's a random walk. There are constraints. There's only a certain amount of water, sunlight, resources that organisms have to compete for, and that competition is what creates more fit organisms that can survive and thrive. But there's no grand objective. There's no committee deciding, there's no committee setting goals. It's a random walk from where the ecosystem currently stands to the next possible step. Let me give you a few examples of how the Amazon does this and contrast it with the way we do it inside our companies. Number one, like I said, there are no objectives, only constraints. The Amazon ecosystem gathers knowledge by allowing mutation within the constraints that it has, but there is no grand objective. Some would argue that evolution is designed to produce a superorganism that can thrive in that ecosystem. If that were true, the evolution would have stopped with single-celled organisms that are very hardy and very good at reproducing. So that diversity of life is a testament to the fact that something else is going on in the Amazon. It's gathering knowledge by working within the constraints that it has to seek out all possible ways of understanding, navigating, and working within the world. Number two, the innovation happens at the margins, at the level of individual cells or organisms. And when those mutations fail, it's too bad for the organism involved, but the ecosystem's fine. When those mutations succeed, the ecosystem is poised to adopt them and make sure they're widespread. I remember talking to a head of innovation at a large global company once who said, our company is really good at failing slowly and at scale. And that is not what you want to do. When you centralize innovation, even if it succeeds, it ends up being very expensive and inefficient. The Amazon pursues a very different path. Number 3, experimentation leads to knowledge, and that knowledge, that novelty, compounds over time. Those mutations uncover new ways of working, of understanding the world that challenge the status quo, that challenge our way of thinking, and that knowledge builds upon itself. If you mutate enough, eventually you'll discover that eyeballs are a good way of perceiving light and navigating the world, for example. We can do the same thing in our organizations. But most of the time when we are running experiments, those experiments are designed to reinforce the status quo, to help us feel good about what we believe or what we're doing, rather than to challenge what we believe or what we're doing. If we can challenge and uncover anomalies, that knowledge compounds over time and leads to discoveries, insights, and ultimately the manufacturing of serendipity. So we should be running more experiments in our organizations. Those experiments should be fast, they should be cheap, and they should be weird. And by weird, I mean they should be challenging the status quo. Most of our organizations are very experimental, but most of the experiments we run are designed to reinforce what we already know and believe, to help us feel better about what we're doing. Our experiments should be designed to uncover anomalies, to specifically and directly challenge the status quo, and they are more unlikely to uncover insights that way. So to summarize, future's coming fast. It's going to be very weird. There is no data about the future. The only way we get data about the future is by creating it. We create data by taking action. Action creates data. That data leads to knowledge, and that knowledge compounds over time, like any asset. Experiments are the form of action that we can take to uncover that data and that knowledge about the future. Those experiments should be fast, cheap, and weird. So if I were to summarize in a sentence, the trick to building a resilient ecosystem and resilient companies within those ecosystems is more action, less talk. Action in the form of experimentation. Thank you. All right, we believe at my company that startups are a fantastic form of experimentation. And so we partner with corporations to build those startups that enable the ecosystems in which they operate to be more resilient, and enable the corporations that we partner with to uncover anomalies. In the world of business, in our ecosystems, startups and entrepreneurs are those individual cells and organisms through which mutation happens and uncovers those anomalies and those insights that lead to great outcomes. You can read more about this in a book I wrote about this topic last year. I'd love to carry on the conversation with you. Send me a note. You can find me on X at Parker or on LinkedIn. It's been a pleasure being with you today. Thank you very much.
Elliott.
Thanks.
Thank you. Really good thought provocation there. Let's hear it again for Elliott Parker, everybody.